Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Daly from the Central Chapter, and it's an honor to be on this. We call it a call, Zoom video. It's an honor to be with everybody. So this, again, is workplace culture and retention. And for those who've ever been on my Synergy call, you know that I always say that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So please have a solid culture. I have the honor to introduce Anthony Lambatos. In my little bio here, Angelo Lambatos is melding the historic Footers name with new and exciting trends in catering. He grew up in the business from scraping plates, which we could probably all relate, for his dad, founder of Footers Catering, Jimmy Lambatos, to hosting his own concession stand at Parade of Homes in high school. He has worked full-time for Footers Catering since 2004 as vice president and became co-owner and CEO at the beginning of 2010. Anthony is passionate about taking the knowledge he has learned from his father and putting a fresh spin on it. And I even got a super cool quote to read, quotes to live by. Happiness is a matter of perspective. It's up to you to decide which angle to look from. So Anthony, it's my pleasure to kick you off. Go for it, and we're excited. Everyone on the call, please write down your questions, and when we're all done, we'll jump in and start asking away.
Very kind. Thank you, Brian, and appreciate you having me here today to speak to everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll jump in. All right. There we go. Everybody see that? Trip, can you give me a thumbs up? I can see you. All right. Awesome. There we go. Yeah. So I want to start by asking a question to everyone, or just have a think for a minute, because I can't see everybody. But the question that you got when you were a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if you remember, just think to yourself, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up? And I start off the talk because the thing that I did not want to be was a caterer. My dad started Footers Catering, and obviously my dad is extremely passionate about the hospitality industry, and I think this is a picture of me serving my first beer. He desperately wanted me to get into the business, and sorry. So he desperately wanted me to get into the business. And one of the things we always talked about was, if you want to see dad, you got to go to work. My dad, like I said, was so passionate about hospitality, being part of some of the most special days in people's lives. But I saw how much passion he had for it and realized I didn't have that same passion. What I wanted to be was a professional basketball player. But at 5'10", when I stopped growing in high school, my NBA dreams quickly started to fade away. And I realized that maybe I should turn my energy to sports, and I need to be in the sports industry. So I went to University of Oregon. I studied sports marketing, and I thought, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to find my spot, myself in sports. And after a couple stints there and a few turns in my life, I realized that I love sports, and I was okay just to watch sports. I didn't need to work at sports. And I found a path back working for my dad. And working for my dad was a challenge on many levels. But I saw an opportunity to take what he had built and really bring it to the next level. And so there was a specific time that I was really soul searching, and I was having breakfast with a mentor of mine, Bob Carruthers, where we're in this, greasy spoon diner where the smell of bacon just is in the air, and the waitress calls you hon. And I said to Bob, Bob, I really missed my calling. And he said, what do you mean, Anthony? And I said, I should have been a college basketball coach. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, here's the thing, Bob. In college, you get to recruit people to come be part of your team, and you get to scour the country to find great talent, and they buy into what you're trying to do. And once you get them there, you get these young guys to work together as a team. And I love the competition and strategy that goes into a game plan. And in college, they want to get to the next level. And so I like the idea to help them grow and move up and improve their skills and help them grow as a person. And they wear nice suits, and I like to do that too. So it all works, right? And Bob looked at me and he said, Anthony, you have a chance to do all of that right now at Footers. And from that day forward, my whole perspective of my job completely changed. I realized that me at being at Footers Catering wasn't about trying to figure out what we were going to serve on the menu or how we were going to execute this event. It was about bringing the right people onto the team. It was about giving them the tools they needed to be successful, helping them grow, thinking about the strategy and how do we create a great culture and a great place where people can thrive. And so I'm honored to say that I absolutely love what I do, and I get to work with some of the most amazing people, and I get to do it through a really cool vehicle, which is the hospitality industry. 12 years ago, when my wife April and I purchased the business from my dad, and this was a pre-COVID picture. Our team is actually even bigger than it was pre-COVID now, but first and foremost to us was building a great place to work. We didn't care about being the biggest catering company in Denver. We didn't care about winning a bunch of awards. We just wanted to create a great place to work. And we believed that if people enjoyed their job, they would provide a higher level of service to our clients, and we would have more fun doing it. And so there was some selfish parts there of like, we're going to spend a lot of time at work. How do we make it fun? How do we enjoy it? And so one of the things we started by doing was we said, we don't have a mission statement. We don't have vision or values. My dad never was bought into that. My dad just cared about putting great food out for events and creating great experiences. And so we asked our team, why do you work at Footers? What's important to you? And three themes kept coming up. And I'm not a big believer in the scripty long mission statement that hangs on the wall and says, we strive to be the best, blah, 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 blah. No one really knows what it is, but it looks nice when you bring it out. And so we created there's a lot of science behind the rule of threes, why people can remember three things at a time, why phone numbers are in blocks of three. And so we created the 3-bullet mission statement on the three themes that came up for our team of why they worked at Footers. So the first is love what you do. And that's all about when we come to work, we want to enjoy it. And I don't believe that you can really, truly have success in a job unless you love it. And it doesn't have to be that you love exactly what it is, the product or the experience. It's just you have to love what you're doing. And I'm case in point to that. I think it's amazing what we do, but my passion is much more around the people and building a business and building a team as opposed to the actual events. We have a lot of people that are firsthand with events or firsthand with the food. They love that piece of it. Second part, make it better every day. We've been around for 40 years. We don't want to do the same thing we did 40 years ago. There's an awesome picture of my dad with these Coke bottle eyeglasses, and he's got a gold lame cummerbund, and he's standing behind a buffet, and he's got this kale just all over the buffet as decor. And we tease him now. We're like, Dad, we actually put the kale in the bowl and serve it to people now. And so that's, we have this rich history, but we want to keep getting better. And we don't just want to do the same thing that we've done for the past 40 years. And I believe that you do that in incremental improvements. It's not this whole, make a huge change and then you've arrived. It's this constant journey that you're on. And then the third part is create exceptional experiences for our clients and their guests. And that's how we do it. We get to be part of some of the most special days in people's lives. And we have to understand that and value that and have purpose around that. And I can tell you that if you come to our team, any of our full-time team members, they will be able to tell you what our mission statement is because we talk about it every single day. There's some way that it gets woven into the fabric of what we do, whether it's on an event, whether it's in our building, whether it's how things are getting produced. We are actually talking about this every day. So as Brian said, my name is Anthony Lambatos. So my wife and I own Footers Catering. We're in Denver, Colorado, and we're a 100% full service catering company. But we believe that our growth has to be meaningful in how we create that. And so we have a sister company called MIBE, and MIBE is the acronym for that middle part of our mission statement: make it better every day. And our team actually came up with this, where they said, "Hey, that's you'd walk around our building, and you still can today, and they'll say, oh, that's a good MIBE, and oh, you're MIBE in that." And so MIBE is a separate business that we've created to help the hospitality industry with these concepts of how do you be intentional about how you build culture and how do you help your leaders grow and become heart-led leaders, which we believe is the foundation to really creating great places to work. And so MIBE is our sister company. We also have our newest venture, which is called Social Capital. This is our new venue that we built out. We actually bought the building at the end of December of 2019. So as many of you know, great timing, right? Like a few months later, the world turns upside down. And we ultimately decided that eventually business would come back. Gatherings people's desire to be together would come back. And so if that was the case, let's spend this time where no one can do events, actually building out an event center. So this is our new 40,000 square foot home. We moved in actually a year ago. And so our commissary is there where we have our kitchen, we have our offices, our warehouse, and an event center that's about 18,000 square feet. So that is a little bit about who we are and what we do. But today we're here to talk about heart leadership and how I can hopefully inspire you and help you create a great place to work. All right, so hopefully many of you know Bill Lumbergh. I dread the day. I love this picture, but I dread the day when my audience is too young to know who Bill Lumbergh is. And I bring this up because he's, I think the quintessential bad boss or bad leader. And so I want to take a minute for you to think about what makes a great leader. And if you just think about a great boss that you've had in your life, and then think about a terrible boss that you've had in your life. Just think about two people that come to mind, and it should be first thought, best thought, the first person that comes in your mind, right? So when you think about those people, I want you to think about what made them great and what made them terrible. Was it their IQ, their intelligence, how smart they were, how much information they knew, intellect? Was that what made him a great boss? Or was that what made him a bad boss? They were an idiot. Number two, was it technical intelligence? So their skill set, were they, the most amazing cook you've ever seen, and that made him a great boss? Or did they not have the skills to do their job, and that's why they weren't, they were your bad boss, your worst boss that you've ever had? Or three, was it their EQ? Was it how they made you feel? That anticipation on the drive into work, were you dreading it because you knew this person would demean you and degrade you? They would undermine your efforts. Or were they that best boss that you drove to work, just couldn't wait to get there because you would work for somebody that totally 100% believed in you, made you feel amazing, was a person that really believed in you and helped you along the way and encouraged you. When you fell down, they picked you up. So my friend Tommy Spalding has done this exercise a number of times. I've seen him do it. I've done it myself. And I will tell you, without a doubt, what we have people do is write Post-it notes write it on sticky notes. And then they come up to the board and put the sticky note on the bad boss and the good boss in the category of IQ, TQ, or EQ. And overwhelmingly, this is what we always see. You've got a couple people that are put in IQ or TQ, but overwhelmingly, what makes the difference between a bad leader, a bad boss, and a great leader, great boss, is the EQ. And the problem here is that we spend all this time in school growing up learning about IQ, intelligence, how do we gain more knowledge and information, which is great. Then we move on, we graduate from college, and we start focusing on our trade, right? How do we get really good at what specifically we're going to do? If you're a chef, you focus a lot of energy on how to be a great chef. How do you cook? How do you think about how things pair together? And then you move in to the fact that we basically neglect that EQ portion of the business. And we don't think about that, and we don't train ourselves enough. Yet that is the biggest differentiator between what makes a great boss and a bad boss. And I think that EQ is at the central point of what it means to be a heart leader. So at MIBE, when we look back to why we've had success at Footers, and we've been extremely fortunate to win a number of awards and been recognized nationally for what we've been able to do with culture, we really saw four things that we focused on, because we didn't do this by the book where we said, okay, where's the blueprint for creating a great place to work? Let's check all the boxes. But as we looked at what we did, we realized there were themes around it. And so I want to share what our convictions are that we believe in. They're lead, love, MIBE, and vibe. First one is lead, value people for more than the job they do. I don't think when you come to work that you open the door and personal Anthony stays behind and professional Anthony all of a sudden comes through. I just don't think that's the case. And this whole thing that we have to separate personal and professional, I'm not a big believer in that, because here's the reason. If your personal life is in shambles, it's going to impact how you show up at work. And if your work life is struggling, it's probably going to impact what you bring home to your family and the people around you and your friends. So I think we have to bring the whole person into the picture and start having conversations about what that means. And so for us at Footers, it means responding to the needs of individual people. When people are going through difficult situations, I think we have to understand that different people need different things. We had somebody on our team recently go through a divorce. Well, She didn't need time away. She wanted double down time at work. She's like, I need a distraction. I need something to focus on other than this. I don't want to be home. I don't want to be alone. I want to be here. Can you give me more projects to work on? Great. We also had somebody going through a divorce who needed time away. They needed to go be with their family, their friends, their support community, and that's what they needed. So here's one situation that's similar for two different people, but we had to respond in a different way. Now, this takes effort and energy to understand what different people need. But to me, this is the differentiator that makes great companies and great cultures stand out, is because they actually respond to what each individual needs. A few other things we do in terms of how we value our people for more than the job they do. We do lunch every day for our team. So we get together and have a family meal. Once a month, we do what we call lunch and learn. And so somebody gets up and does their origin story, who they are, where they're from. We get to hear their whole history. And it was one of the coolest things. It's like, everybody comes in and there's people that have been with our company for 15 years. And I learned something new about them when they do a lunch and learn. It's a simple way to incorporate culture into the day-to-day. We're not asking people to do something outside of work. Everybody's getting together for this one time. Why don't we utilize it in a positive way? And I believe when we know each other, when we understand who we are and where we came from, we're going to be more patient with one another. There's times when we're going to face adversity, shit's going to hit the fan, we're going to go through struggles. And if you slip up, maybe when I know who you are, I'm going to be a little bit more compassionate and patient with you, as opposed to frustrated and turning to blame. And so origin stories are a great way where we really want to learn more about our people and have them get to know each other. Another thing we did recently, we had our busy season really is May through September. And then we're busy in December as well. But we had an abnormally busy day in March. And we all kind of dubbed it as like our first day back from school, because our off season is slow. We retain a good core of our people, but this was the first day where we needed like 100 people working events, and so we built on that first day of school, and we created these little sack lunches for every team member. And there was a team of us that got together. We put like an Uncrustable, a cutie orange, a trail mix, a Capri Sun, just like it's silly, just all but simple, in a brown paper sack. There was a napkin with a handwritten thank you on it. And we put them all in there and sent them out to all the events that we were doing that day and gave them to each of the team members. Things like that don't cost a lot of money, but it takes effort and energy. And it lets people know that, hey, we appreciate you for more than just you coming to work and filling a build spot. Next, love. Open yourself to be authentic, genuine, and vulnerable. I think this is key for leaders to be thinking about. How do we come to work and be vulnerable? Historically, leaders, if we put who is a great leader, how should leaders show up? It's leaders need to have all the answers, right? Leaders don't show weakness. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Vulnerability is not about sharing your deepest and darkest secrets and coming to work and spilling that all for the table, for everybody to hear. Vulnerability is about being honest about where you may have shortcomings. It's about coming to the table and saying, at certain times, I don't know. When we look at what we have just gone through in the pandemic, I mean, I don't know about all of you, but this was my first pandemic. So I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know what was going on. And there were a lot of days that I struggled. I didn't know if we were going to make it. I didn't know how we were going to get it out. If you asked me in March of 2020, when's this going to be over? I would have said, June, July, we're going to be back doing events. Well, here we are, still dealing with the ramifications of it more than 2 years later. And so that vulnerability that we've established with our team, I honestly believe was part of what got us through. And this picture, I love this picture because it was one of our first events we did in the summer of 2020 when they started to allow some events to take place in Colorado. And we had to downsize our team. We didn't have any of our part-time staff. So we retained most of our full-time team members. But if you look at this picture, what you don't see is that, one of those girls is my controller that she was at working events. And one of them is a salesperson who this wasn't her event. One of them is my graphic designer. One of them is my warehouse manager. Like, we didn't have a whole staff of people. We had to say, look, we've got events and we need all of you to come in and start doing it. And so there's me, doing my best to go pass some hors d'oeuvres out on the floor. And my wife, April, we're back there plating up salads. This is what we all banded together to do. But that vulnerability with one another to get through and have those days where I needed them to pick me up and they needed me to pick them up, was huge. And I think leaders need to lean into that a little bit more and lean into their teams when they don't have the answers. Next one. MIBE. There's always more to learn and room to improve. This is what I alluded to at the beginning. I don't think we can ever arrive at our destination. I think it is an ongoing pursuit that when we get to a next level, we can always be better. And I don't think that's demoralizing. A lot of people say, oh, that's so defeating that, you never reach your goals. No, you reach your goals and you celebrate them, but then you turn your attention to what's next. How do we continue to grow? How do we continue to be better? And I think this is critical because the conversation about creating a great place to work has devolved into ping pong tables and beer fridges and how do we make work easy for people. And I just have a big disagreement with this idea that we have to make work easy for people. I want you to think about in your life the things that you're most proud of accomplishing, like just 2 or 3 things that you're like, man, I'm really proud I accomplished this. Now, I've asked this for a number of people, and it's tough to do in Zoom, but I also then asked the follow-up question, how many people can raise their hand and say accomplishing that thing that they were so proud of was easy to do? No one raises their hands because the things that we're most proud of in life of doing aren't easy. They're challenging. They're things that we've overcome. They're things that we've faced adversity, that we've gone through something that challenged us and pushed us beyond what our limits are. And we get to a point where we say, man, that was really awesome that I accomplished this. This is a picture of our team at an event that is called the Book Lovers Ball. It is an event we do for the Denver Public Library. We've done it for 13 years in a row. And it is by far the most difficult event we do every single year. It is on 3 different floors of the library. We cook everything on the docks. We have to bring it up in this freight elevators and then distribute the food to 6 different dining areas that are all in the stacks of the library that have different themes, different guest counts, different decor. And then from there, we have to execute this plated dinner and then tear it all down at the end of the night. And I will say this event is a huge challenge. But if you ask most of our team, what's your favorite event that we do every year? 80% will say this event. They'll point to this event and say, I love the Book Lovers Ball. It's my favorite event. It's one of the coolest events we do. And so I think as owners, leaders within our organizations, we can't be afraid to shy away from highlighting the challenges in our companies. I've talked to a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't get somebody to come work for us. We're too far away. The work we do is too hard. It's too many nights and weekends. Well, my argument would be stop trying to attract the people that don't want what you have to offer. Attract the people that are up to that challenge. There's people that want to be Navy SEALs for a reason, right? Like being a Navy SEAL is not easy. Being somebody in the hospitality industry is not easy. There's people that want to do it though, and we have to go after those types of people and not be afraid to just try to make everything easy. Last one, vibe. Work doesn't have to suck. Surround yourself with a kick-ass team. This is something that I think is critical. And as leaders, if you have hiring and firing power within your organization, you have an incredible responsibility to the rest of your team to make sure that the makeup of the team dynamic suits the culture you have and does justice to everyone else working on that team. I will also say for any of you that don't have hiring and firing potential possibilities or responsibilities within your job, I get a lot of people like, Anthony, I'm not responsible for that. That's not my job to figure out who's on the team. I 100% disagree. Everybody has a responsibility to protect the culture of an organization. And if there's somebody in that organization that isn't a good cultural fit, it's your responsibility to bring that to somebody who can do something about it, because it's not fair to the rest of the team to have somebody on that team that is a disengaged employee. Gallup has done a number of studies about engaged, disengaged, and actively disengaged employees. And what they found is across the US, only 30% of workers are engaged. That means 30% of people are in a boat rowing in the right direction that you want them to row. And then you've got another 40% that are disengaged. And these are people that are either not rowing at all or they're rowing the opposite direction. And then the actively disengaged are not only rowing in the opposite direction, they're actually drilling holes in your boat. And so when we think about allowing those people to stay in our organization, it's a daunting thing to be mindful of and thinking about. We developed this, what we call our culture performance matrix. And we have a system that you fill out questions about each employee, and we plot your team on our graph here when you're part of our program. But essentially, the simple way to do it is if you just think of one of your team members and you rate their performance. Are they 10, they're a rock star, or are they 0, like they're just terrible at their job? And then you give them a score of 0 to 10 on culture. Are they a 10, they're awesome cultural fit, or are they a 0, they're a terrible cultural fit? And then you plot them on this graph is basically what we're doing here. And when I see companies, very rarely do I see these yellow dots. We just don't have them in the organizations because they're not good at their job. They're not good cultural fits. No one really likes them. They're very easy to fire. It's easy to get rid of them. If we move over to the blue dots, this is where I disagree with a lot of people. These are people that everybody loves. They are just the heart. Everybody really enjoys being with them. They care about everyone else, but they're really struggling in their job. And most people would say if they're struggling in their job, they got to go. They can't do the job. Like, we need to get rid of them. And I would disagree with that to an extent. I believe that is a person that is a great cultural fit. Can you find a new position for them? Because clearly they're not in the right spot. If we can find a good position for them where they can utilize their strengths, their talents, then we move them into a different category. But I think too many people get rigid and, they have to fit this mold. If you have a job, let's say your executive chef has 3 main responsibilities, and it's A, B, and C that they have to do, right? And they're really great at A, they're really great at B, but they're terrible at C. Most of the time that we're going to spend talking about C. Now, why are you not getting C done? Why are you struggling here? Why did this get screwed up? Why are you struggling here? That's demoralizing and not fun for either one of us, despite the fact that 60% of your job, you're crushing it at. Why aren't we thinking about taking C off their plate and giving that to somebody who is going to be better suited to do, and bringing D or E, because that's going to better suit their needs? It's not about giving somebody a pass or an easy way out, or taking something away without replacing it. You have to replace it with something else that will be fulfilling, that they can do. Our white dots, those are unicorns. We want more of them. We'd love to clone them. They're fantastic. They're great at their job, and they're great cultural fits. The biggest problem within any organization is these red dots. These are people that are really great at their job, and they make sure to tell everyone how great they are at their job. They make sure that everybody knows that the company wouldn't be the same without them, that if I wasn't here, this wouldn't get done. If I wasn't here, the company wouldn't be where it would be. And they build this kingdom around them that we start to believe that, like, yeah, they really are irreplaceable. We couldn't do it without that person. But behind the scenes, they're eroding the fabric of your culture. They're the ones that are behind the scenes holding back any new initiative that you bring to the table, because they won't say it in the meeting. They won't be that vocal about it. I mean, you got 2 people in this category. You got the jerks that are just clearly jerks and are actively going to say something and push back. And then you got the people that are like the posers that'll nod in the meeting, and then behind the scenes, they'll go talk to Julie over here and say, Julie, that's not going to work. That's a terrible idea. I can't believe they're trying to do this. And then they're going to go build camaraderie with Ben over here and say, Ben, I don't know what they're trying to do. Like, I know how to do this. I've been here for a long time. I know how to make this happen. And so what we do is we put up with the red dots for way too long. We allow them to be within our organization, and it is one of the worst things that we can do. It's a total disservice to the rest of the organization. And I get right now that it is hard to find people. So the thought of not only do we have to find new people? Now might fire somebody and now add another vacancy is a daunting task. But I will tell you, every time I've gotten rid of a red dot, I have been grateful that I did, and replaced them with somebody who's even better. When you create a great team and bring them together, we have been so fortunate, and amazing things have happened for us. 7 years ago, our team came to us and said, hey, will you create a vacation for us, like plan a vacation? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, we'll pay for it. We just want you to plan it. I said, you don't spend enough time together? You actually want to go on vacation together? They're like, yeah. Well, that's what we want to do. So I was like, all right, this is kind of crazy, but like, I'll look into it. And so we found this ridiculous deal to Mexico, Cabo, for like 3 nights and an all-inclusive. And I said, all right, we'll pay for half of anyone who wants to come. If you really want to do this, like, we'll support it. Well, we had 20 people sign up, and the day before, April and I looked at each other and we're like, either this is the best idea we've had, or this might be the worst. And uh, we just got back last week from our sixth time doing this. So obviously it has been one of the best decisions we ever made. Now, full disclosure, I do not recommend everybody does a company vacation. I recommend you take inspiration from what we do and make it your own. It doesn't work for all companies, but for us, it works. We had 37 people on this most recent trip to Isla Mujeres. And the joy and laughter and the camaraderie that's built for us over the course of those 4 days is something that I can't create anywhere else. And I am so humbled that I've got a team that cares about each other so much that they want to invest their time and money. They actually pay to go on this. We subsidize it based on their level of employment. So there's buy-in on their behalf. But the fact that we have that many people that want to do it is amazing. And it's what happens when you create a team environment that really, truly trusts and loves one another. So I want to talk about how we do some of this in terms of the tactics of it, because it's beyond just planning parties. A lot of people think like, oh, culture, let's plan a party. And I just, that's part of it. And that's part of creating fun. But I don't think that that's the answer to the ticket to creating a great place to work. I think it distills down into beyond the fun. And I think you can create fun on events too. But thinking about how you build relationships, how you do recognition, and how you build purpose is what we try to focus on when we're doing culture every single day. And I will tell you, culture, we made the mistake of trying to work on culture, and then all of a sudden it was like, we got a good culture, great, now let's go back to catering. And then 2 months later, 3 months later, we realized like, hey, what happened to our culture? Well, we stopped focusing on it. So culture is something that has to be integrated into every single day. And it's not just the planning of parties. Culture is basically how you operate. How do things happen? How do people interact with each other within your organization? Now, I do think it's important to create some fun. And for us, when we do our events, Chip and Dan Heath wrote a book called The Power of Moments. And in the book, they have a quote. It's called, "Be wary of the soul-sucking force of reasonableness." And the idea is that if we were to get all in the same room and somebody came to us and said, hey, I'm going to give you guys all ice cream, but you have to agree on one flavor. We're going to start out the conversation by asking, what ice cream does everyone want? And somebody's going to say mint chocolate chip, and somebody's going to say cookie dough, and I want strawberry sherbet, and I want, that's all over the place, right? And we're going to distill it down, and we're probably going to end up with vanilla. And my apologies to anyone who loves vanilla ice cream, but like most people don't want vanilla, and vanilla is not memorable for most people. This is what happens when people try to do company events and things within their organization, is that we're going to do a company picnic. And then you get this boring company picnic that people just feel obligated to come to. And maybe there's a bounce house for the kids, but it's basically some burgers and dogs, and people come and they leave, right? Like there's nothing really that memorable about it. What we try to do with any event we do for our team is we create something that people are going to talk about for years to come. And so one example is our Summer Olympics, where we divide up into 6 teams. The teams all have themes, and it's a parent theme that is in it. So this particular year, it was holidays. So there was the Valentine's team, there was the Christmas team, there was the Halloween team. And so everybody's recruited to come and be part of it. And it basically boils down to an adult field day. And at the end, what happens is we have this relay, the final relay, and you have to divide your team into the physical challenge, the puzzle, what person is going to do the puzzle, what 2 people are going to do the eating challenge. And so the race begins and it goes from one to the other. But when you get to the eating table, whoever gets there first gets to choose what to eat first. And so in this particular year, we had a stick of butter, a sleeve of saltines, a jar of pickles. We had a bowl of Jell-O, 6 donuts, and a bowl of spaghetti. Now, if I told you, hey, we're going to have this event and you're going to have to dress up silly and you might have to eat a stick of butter, people would be like, yeah, I don't think so, Anthony. I'll pass on that one. But I will tell you, this is the thing that everybody talked about the next day, is how Shelby and Daniel broke that stick of butter in half and each shoved half of it in their mouth, and still talk about it today, that we created this moment, this excitement, this fun that people were willing to be a part of, and it was then memorable. And then the day after, everybody's talking about it, and the people that weren't there are like, well, I don't want to miss that next time. And so I would encourage you, this is a great lesson, not just in company, but for your customers too. Are you creating moments that are memorable for people? Gallup has done a lot of studies on this. If you have 3 close friends at work, you're 96% more likely to be extremely satisfied with your life. not your work, with your life. That's a staggering number when we think about that. But it makes sense that if we go to work and we have close friends at work, all of a sudden we're supported at work. We don't come to work and fall apart when things go wrong. We have people to lean on. The kicker on this is that they ask people, is your organization doing anything to help you build those relationships? Well, if you look at this, more than 80% are on the side of either neutral or disagree. So I think as organizations, we're missing an opportunity to build relationships among our team. And it's not that everybody has to be best friends with one another. It's just that we have to be mindful about how do we make sure people are connecting and getting to know one another, and how can we as a company be intentional about making that happen. Recognition, I think, is critical. And I think the kicker for me about recognition is it's most times can be free. A handwritten note, a public comment acknowledging somebody. There's a lot of things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money, but yet it costs time and energy. And those are things that I realize we're all short on. But when we're intentional about creating recognition, it goes a long way. For us, we have our Jimmy Buck program. Jimmy's my dad, so it pays tribute to him. When our team does anything that reflects one of our core values, anyone on our team can submit a request for anyone else to get a Jimmy Buck. And they fill out an online form. It's on our website. Eddie, you could actually go do a Jimmy Buck if you wanted. But what they do is they fill it out. It all gets filtered through me, and I approve them. I forward it on to our receptionist. She transposes it onto a little dollar that on the back, it has what they did to get the Jimmy Buck. The only reason I won't give the stamp of approval on Jimmy Buck is if it wasn't for something specific. So as long as it pertains to one of our core values and it was for something specific, it can't just be, hey, Trip worked hard on this event. It's got to be for something like, what did Trip do that was amazing? And then we give them out in a public forum. We give them out to people that every Tuesday, anyone who works in our building, we give out the Jimmy Bucks, and on events in our pre-shift meetings, we'll give them out. And so everybody else knows what they're doing that embodies our core values. And then they can use their Jimmy Bucks in our swag store, where you can get hats and jackets and company swag and all kinds of cool stuff. So purpose is another thing that I think is critical that we have to talk about. We have what we call our teamwork wheel. And at Footers and in catering, we talk about the fact that we have 5 unique departments. So we have our sales team, our service team, our financial and admin team, our production team, and our culinary team. I am adamant that each one of those departments is equally important to the success of our events. And the minute that we have one department start thinking that they're more important than another, we run into problems. If you took any one of those components out, that wheel that we have, it doesn't go anywhere. It starts to just stop, right? So if we don't have a culinary team, obviously we don't have food to cook. You get the picture. The bigger problem is when the departments don't work well together. And what you get is these cracks in the wheel, and the wheel will still go, but it's going to be a really bumpy ride that at the end of the day isn't enjoyable. And so what I tell my team is that we want all of you to understand what your purpose is and what your role is in our events, and understand that it's all unique. What you do as a culinary team is different than what the sales team does. And it's different from what the financial team is. And it's different from what the production team, but you all add value to what we're doing here. Manoj Shafiq, the director of London School of Economics, said in the past, jobs were about muscles. Now they're about brains. In the future, they'll be about heart. I'm a huge believer in this. If we think about the past, where you had the assembly line age, and we had an emphasis on agriculture, it was all about muscle. How much physical work can you do? And now you think about the internet age and how much programming can we do? That's really what we're in now. But as many of you know, computers are quickly about to overtake what human intellect can do. But the thing that computers can't do is have heart. And so as organizations, the companies that come and respond to their team with compassion and have heart, right now that's probably a competitive advantage, but I believe in the future it'll be mandatory. Employees have more control now than they ever have of where they want to work. And they have more power, frankly. And that's why it's such a struggle to find people. They want environments where they feel like they can come and be successful, not where it's going to be easy, where they can come and be part of something that there's a bigger picture, part of something that they are going to be treated as a person. And I think that boils down to heart. I want to leave you with just a thought here. At all levels, whether you think you're a leader or not, I would argue that you're a leader. there are people within your life that are looking and watching you, and you may not even be aware of that. Whether it's family members, whether it's somebody that works for you, whether it's somebody that works with you, whether it's somebody that works above you. There's people watching you every single day for who you are and how you're showing up. And I believe that we all have the ability to have a tremendous impact on people's lives. And that impact can either be positive or it can be negative. And I am so passionate about creating a great place to work and inspiring people to come to work and have not a negative. Don't be that green sticky note that's the bad boss. How do you move into that yellow sticky note and be the great leader? How do you have an impact on somebody where they are going to remember you for the rest of your life, where they're going to look back and say, that person believed in me. That person gave me an opportunity. That person trusted me. That person helped me along the way. And so as leaders, I think you all have the power to have a tremendous impact on people in your lives. And I just hope you take something with you today that allows you to have that positive impact. It's been an honor to be part of this, and I appreciate your time today. And thank you for having me, Pam and Brian and Trip. Really, it's been an honor.
Wow, Anthony, talk about not only a great presentation, but a motivating presentation. If everyone on this call did not learn something, you must not be on this call, because it was a lot of great information. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I can't wait to actually share this recording with a lot of my teammates with that. Now, I'm sure, and boy, do I hope some people have some questions, but I do like to point out a few things, lessons learned, Anthony, that I learned. Culture doesn't happen by accident. And you ever see a new restaurant opening where, my God, it's amazing, but you just lose focus and things aren't as great as they were a year ago, because it gets worse and worse through time. I heard a lot of great buzzwords from you, but here's the difference with your buzzwords. They have meaning and they actually have power versus the buzzwords that I can't stand that are meaningless. I heard engagement. I heard origin and story. I heard lots of people getting involved, such as lunch and learns. I love you guys do the questionnaire with the dots. We do stars and bars with us. And honestly, we spend so much time protecting the bottom 20% because we don't want to lose them, and we lose our top 30%. So What an amazing message. It's also called addition by subtraction. You drop some of them bottom feeders, guess what? You become a great place to work and you actually get more staff. I heard fun, relationships, recognition, purpose. I also heard it's beyond fun, where not only do you have events and fun, but you have to make it memorable and also invest not only money, but time and energy. So those are some of my quick takeaways. And I will tell you what an exceptional video this was. I want to turn this over to anyone out here in my audience. Does anyone have a question or a success story that you would like to share? I don't know, Pam, how we're doing on time, but I just saw, what inspired you to focus on the details and importance of your employees? I guess that's a question.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, well, one, creating this great place to work was important to me. Of we want to have fun at what we're doing, and I quickly learned that in order to create a great place to work, you have to pay attention to what's important to your team members, and so for me, I want to have a positive impact on their lives beyond just work. And there's people that come to me and need help refinancing their house. Like, am I going to do that? No, but I can point them in the right direction, and I can give them resources and ways to help them as a whole person. Because well-being is not just physical well-being, right? Well-being, if those things aren't in alignment, people are going to struggle. And so I'm inspired to help people reach their full potential. And in order to do that, I think they have to be in the right job. They have to be utilizing their strengths, and they have to be in an environment where they can thrive. No, I can't control everything and every aspect of it, but if I can keep pointing them in that direction and assisting them along the way, then we're going to be a lot closer than if I didn't do that. So,
great question as well. Thank you for the great answer. Does anyone else have a question that they would like to ask Anthony?
I got one for you, Anthony.
Perfect.
Yeah, go ahead, Trip.
Anthony, when you do the the four quadrants, do you
Yeah.
share that with who?
No, I don't, I don't. I think it's not meant to just share with the whole team. It's meant to be shared with either the owner or the senior leaders with the team, so that they really can get it. And sometimes there's some disagreement, or there's some things that they just didn't know. I mean, I didn't tell the story, but we had a pastry chef that was he was a phenomenal pastry chef. Never had an issue with his work. No complaints about his desserts. He was phenomenal. And, but people were scared to go talk to him. Like my coordinators and salespeople wouldn't go talk to him because they never knew what mood he was going to be in. And eventually we let him go. And I didn't realize how negative of an impact he had on our team until we let him go. And I literally walked into the kitchen and they're cheering. They're like, the pastry walls come down. And he had literally built a physical wall of like boxes and equipment between him and the rest of the kitchen. And so it just broke my heart when I saw that like, man, I let this go on for that long, that here was somebody having such a negative impact on our team. But I probably would have been quicker to do it had I realized that sooner. So sometimes it's helpful when they get the feedback and see that like, oh gosh, that person's a bigger problem than I thought.
Two follow-up questions. Could have you made that butter taste better for the for that challenge? And then because I know at the Frogtown they've got a garlic butter that people just order and they eat raw. So
there you go. So
so we'll let the Frogtown chime in. And then in terms of the the staff vacation, are you throwing that out to spouses as well, or significant others?
Yeah, so if they want to bring their significant other, they're welcome to do it. We love it when they come because then they get to be part of it and get to know the team on another level. And so they're welcome to do it. The significant others pay 100% of the cost to come if they want to come.
Right, and and just for fun, that would include kids.
No, we try not to do kids.
Okay.
I have two kids. Kids, I believe, become distracting and they don't add to the environment. I see the thumbs down. I love my kids, but if my kids are there, I'm focused on my kids and what are they doing and making sure that they're not, making a mess or drowning in the pool. I'm not paying attention to my team. So we don't do kids.
On that venture, do you break into any kind of on that vacation? Do you tell everyone to leave the phone down? We're not going to have a strategic planning session.
Yeah, our strategic planning happens around the swim up bar.
Understood.
Hey Anthony, really quick. There is truffle in that butter too. So. There's truffle in that butter.
Okay, yeah. So
just a
much
quick,
more appealing.
Hey Anthony, a quick statement. I'd like to see if you have any opinions on this. But kind of a success story for us. I have a musical theater background and love singing and dancing. So our social media is pretty dynamic. And I've been amazed to see when, instead of me bringing these ideas, I sat in front of one of our team meetings and said, hey crew, anybody want to be involved in some TikToks, Twitters, Instagram posts? And the excitement on their faces was as if I just gave them a $3 raise. Have you had any luck with that and really opening social media to these younger team members, especially that find it's the most exciting thing of their day?
Yeah, maybe not specifically to social media. I think that's one aspect of it, but opportunities to do things that are maybe a little outside their job, our people run with. And we have our culture club. Like you have to sign up to be on the culture club. And it's there's people from every department. There is 3 of the 6 people on our executive team are on the culture club. So it's not just like a couple of admin people that plan everything. And we think about those concepts of fun, relationships, recognition, and purpose. These people love to do this. And this is extra work for them, right? Like they're not getting paid to be on culture club, but they love it. Years ago, we were a finalist for best places to work. And you had to create a 3-minute video on why you are a great place to work. And we're watching all the videos from the previous year and they're like, oh, I just love this company. It's so, it's a great place to work. And it's these interviews and they're nice videos. Don't get me wrong, but it was like boring. And so our team was like, let's do a music video. And I'm like, oh boy. So literally we rewrote the lyrics and our team did this to Can't Stop the Feeling. You see our colors are teal. So it was Can't Stop the Tealing and literally rewrote the whole lyrics, filmed and edited this whole music video that our team really is responsible for making that happen. So yeah, 100%. You give people opportunity to do things. And it's this idea around ownership, right? Empowering people to that they feel like they own part of the company, not in a, you know, monetary or physical sense, but ownership in the, this is my job, this is where I work, and I'm proud of it, and I want to do more to help it. People will run through walls, as opposed to giving people direction of, you do this, you do that, you do this. Like, that doesn't build engagement.
Would help if I took myself off mute. What other, I have a question here. Students have a misconception about working in this industry. How can your message get down to students determining their life choices?
Are you talking about culinary students? Or just
I can
students
tell
in
you
general?
for a fact, guidance counselors are talking kids out of hospitality in general. I can also tell you that parents are also talking their kids out of hospitality completely.
Yeah.
So how do we break through to that?
Go to the schools. I mean, we have a I don't know if you have ProStart there in Pennsylvania, but ProStart's a huge thing here in Denver. We actually had 5 of our chefs volunteer at different high schools within their ProStart programs. So these are people that have a little bit of interest at the high school level. And it was awesome because they could be mentors and see these kids work and help them grow and talk to them about catering and what we do as a business, and see some of the best ones and recruit them to come be part of our team. This is a little bit catering specific, but I think it applies to all of your businesses. You know, I go out and try to speak at as many different classes as I can. I want to go talk about what we do, how we do it, why it's different than maybe the catering, you know, especially for us. Everybody has a sign in the window that says we do catering, and that's no knock against Chipotle for doing catering. It's more of just, we do full service events. It's a little bit different. And so I have to go talk to people and explain, like, no, here's what we do. We don't just drop food off and leave. Like, we actually put on a whole event. And so fighting back on those misconceptions that people have, whether it's about restaurants, whether it's about, you know, like, oh, I don't want to work nights. Well, there's a lot of restaurants that do breakfast. Like, if you're a breakfast restaurant, you can probably capitalize on that. And so there's the elements of one, we have to go just out in the field and talk about it and reach them at a level before they've had too much where people are pointing them in a different direction. And then I think the other piece too is invite them to come see what you do. Having people physically be in your environment, if you have a great place, is powerful, where they come and are like, oh, I get this. Oh, this is cool. Oh, that's awesome. I've never seen that piece of equipment in the kitchen. I'd love to learn how to work that. And so I think, you know, where you can build that into your week, I think is another great thing that, you know, I'm hosting a group of future business leaders of America students in a couple of weeks, where they're going to come and tour our facility. Like, you know, does that have a lot of business payoff for me? No, but is there pipeline payoff for me? I hope so. And there's an opportunity for me to give back and talk about what we do as catering and hospitality in general. I mean, hospitality is not easy. That's why MIBE, our business MIBE, is really focused around helping the hospitality industry with intentional culture building and heart leadership, because I think we have different challenges than, I'm sorry, but the tech industry, when everyone's making 6 figures, like, yeah, culture is a different conversation, as opposed to, we've got people making minimum wage or slightly above that. And these are some of the most critical customer facing people that we have. Those are different challenges for the hospitality industry. And so we recognize that and want to respond to that.
All right. I know we have another trip. We have more agenda items that we have to get to, because I can end this particular part of the session if you would like.
Yeah, let's move on, and let me stop by saying, Anthony, when does the book come out, or the movie?
We're working on it. A book is in the near future. I will say, if I can do a quick plug for MIBE, there's 4 ways to get involved. If you want free each week, I write a midweek MIBE message. It's a uplifting, inspirational, less than the 3-4 minute read that I do for my team, and then I transpose it into a written form. So if you want to sign up, you can go to MIBE.com, sign up for the weekly MIBE message. We have a program, MIBE Monthly, that focuses on taking this intentional curriculum of helping you build culture, and you do it within your company with a facilitator that you designate, and we give you all the tools you need to do it and train your facilitator. And then we have our heart leadership workshops That next one will be coming up at the end of August, where we have people from across the country come to our facility. Spend 2 days, really 2 to 3 days, thinking about who you want to be as a leader. And then finally, our immersion program, where you bring your executive team to us and spend 2 to 3 days in our company, seeing how we do it. So if you're interested in all of that, any of that, we'd be happy to chat with you. Again, you can find more information on the MIBE.com or email me directly at anthony@footerscatering.com. And you can also follow us on all the social channels, Footers Catering, Social Capital, and MIBE. So thank you again for having me. It's been an honor.
Yeah, well done. Thank you.